first thing the woman did after being reborn was to shut down the shared time travel passage system with the second prince. Because the woman knew that before long, the second prince would successfully ascend the throne with her help. In her previous life, she had listened to the second prince's words. She had poured out all of her family's wealth just to supply him with resources. But the second prince had married the prime minister's daughter. When the woman went to ask him why, the second prince cruelly rejected her. Fortunately, the general appeared in time. Only then did the woman realize she had loved the wrong person. But how could the second prince let them go? At that moment, the woman swore that if there was another life, she would make the second prince pay the price. When she opened her eyes again, she had been reborn to a month earlier. Before she could even figure out the situation, the second prince came out of the system. At that moment, she looked at the air. If the woman had not been reborn, she really would have been deceived by his caring appearance. But in order to find out what the second prince was really doing with the supplies, the woman traveled back to ancient times through the system. Unexpectedly, she overheard the second prince's plan. It turned out that in her previous life, the second prince had taken her supplies not to support the border soldiers and rescue the people, but to rebel. The woman who learned the truth blamed herself. She had actually been fooled by an ancient man until she was dizzy. Without realizing it, she was nearly hurt by a galloping wild horse. Luckily, the general discovered her in time. He saved the woman. He even declared that she was his lifesaver. It turned out that 3 years earlier, when the woman was unemployed and lost, she had met the severely wounded general, so the woman had saved him. Only then did the woman realize that she had already possessed the time travel passage system back then. Just then, a subordinate reported that a major incident had happened in the military camp. The two of them immediately went to the camp. It turned out that someone had deliberately destroyed the supplies the general needed for the border battle. But for the safety of the people of the world, the general, knowing this trip was fraught with danger, still decided to go. Unexpectedly, the woman stopped him. She told them that the second prince was going to rebel. But the crown prince did not dare believe the woman's words. However, the general believed the woman would not lie to him. Seeing this, the crown prince accepted the general's suggestion. Unaware of all this, the second prince even came to urge the woman for the supplies. So the woman lied, saying the logistics were a bit slow. She claimed that the delay had cost some time. She promised that before he went to court the next day, the supplies would definitely arrive. Receiving this confirmation, the second prince turned and left. At this moment, the woman immediately ordered the system to erase the second prince's identity information. Meanwhile, the second prince received the news that the general had already set out for the border, so he ordered the scheming woman to tell her father to cooperate. Just then, a subordinate reported that the woman's supplies had still not arrived, so the second prince prepared to use the system to find her, but the system did not respond at all. At that moment, another subordinate reported that someone from the palace had come to urge him to attend court. With no other choice, the second prince had to act in advance. At that moment, the general arrived at the main hall. Soon after, the woman and the crown prince also arrived before the hall. They reported the second prince's treasonous intentions to the emperor. The second prince received the punishment he deserved.